Women Writers Fest. I am Tanvia Khori, and I have with me here today, joining me all the way from Houston, Aparna Shewakramani. She's a lawyer, and of course, the world knows her from the famous Netflix show Indian Matchmaking. Aparna was one of the breakout stars and my personal favorite person on the show. She is coming up with a book, the title of which she'll reveal to us, and we'll be discussing about books and what makes a woman unlikable or likable, and the different situations and the hurdles that women have to navigate in the world today. Hi, Aparna, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Aparna, let's just dive right into it. Why and how did a book happen?
So it was not planned, to say in the least, but a few weeks into the show, we started realizing as a cast and as my family and my friends that the show was going to be much bigger than we anticipated, and that my role and my portrayal on the show and that my edit was going to be a lot more polarizing. So a friend of a friend who I met once at a baby shower reached out to me along with thousands of other people, but I somehow caught this message, and she said, I have a literary agent and she wants to talk to you. So I spoke to this agent and I said, I'm too busy. My life is chaos right now. I do 8 hours of press a day, 8 hours of work a day. I'm exhausted trying to keep up with social media. I can't write a book right now. And she said, yes, you can. You have a story to tell, and it's about your life, and it's about who you are and how you became this way. And it's something that women are asking about already. So give it to them. Give them your story. You're bigger than the show. You have a voice that's bigger than your edit. This is your moment. And she was right. And so along with my full-time job and my 8 to 10 hours of press, I was writing this nonfiction proposal right after the show came out, within weeks or at least a month of the show coming out. And that's how She's Unlikable was born. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, yeah. What is it that exactly makes a woman unlikable? And I'm sure you'll be the best person to answer, because you keep mentioning edit, and I do know a bit about that, and if you could elaborate on it. But why? Do you think it's something that society masks, that it's uncomfortable about under such labels as, somebody who's unlikable or a woman who is too strong-headed? What do you think?
I think it's a very common trope. And it works. It works with viewers. It's worked for years on TV. In America, reality TV is a lot older than it is in India. And I didn't know that. Obviously, I've always lived in the US since I was a child. But we've had the Bachelor franchise now for 20 years. So people understand edits, but they still don't. So it was about the way that we consume media and the way that media is fed to us and the things that we believe because they're fed to us over and over again. That the woman who is strong, that is determined, that has standards, that believes that she deserves love, but still also believes that she can love her career or at least grow in it and be successful in it, that she's suddenly unlikable. And I think it's a real pity that it's continued for this long, but it's also our fault as a society for consuming it without asking the questions behind it. Why are those always the villain women? A woman is only a villain on a TV show, reality or otherwise, if she has these characteristics. And I think we need to dig deep on why that's the case.
Right. And I think, India, of course, with its years and years of television, I think knows is very, very familiar with the concept of a villain. And especially, we call them vamps here, colloquially. And of course, I mean, there are certain characteristics to one. As the conversation grows today on social media and off it, I think a lot of us are realizing that, they weren't really that evil as they were portrayed to be. Because, they were just women standing up for themselves most of the time. Yes. Aparna, the subtitle on your book is Other Lies That Bring Women Down. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I myself had to research this because living it is one thing and then giving words to it is another. And it turns out that I had been defining misogyny and feminism the wrong way. According to research, feminism is this societal structure of norms that we create. So it's I think those norms are the lies that bring women down. And that's that when we're little and we're playing with dolls and they're saying, oh, look at that little girl. She's so sweet. She's such a good mother to her doll. She's going to be such a good big sister, a good wife, or a good mother one day. This girl's 3 or 4 years old, and you're assigning to her that she's nurturing, that she's kind, that she's maternal. And the same way as we assign the same thing to men, that men, when they're little boys and they pick themselves up and we say, oh, look, he didn't even cry. He's so strong. He's so this. And I think that's what the show kind of showed us. Everyone was talking about Pradhuman's portrayal on the show as someone who was more feminine, and people were asking about his sexuality because of it, because he was creative and enjoyed cooking. Like, these are the norms that we've assigned to genders, and it's really harmful. And what is misogyny? We keep saying, oh, that's when you hate women. No, it's not. Misogyny is when you take those societal norms, the feminist feminism that I was talking about before, or the norms for women and men, the gender norms. And when you make it about enforcing those. So when I was being told, you must adjust, you must compromise, you're the woman, you be flexible, that was misogyny, and I don't think it's ever cruel or unkind, but I think that's the society that we work in, and we have to identify those and call them what they are. They're lies. Women don't have to be a certain way, and men don't have to be a certain way. It goes both ways for both genders.
Aparna, you went, so to speak, on the marriage market in front of the whole world. And, as you know, now, the Indian marriage market of arranged marriages especially is it is a tough space to navigate, especially for women. And, if we are rejecting grooms, or the grooms are, of course, rejecting brides a lot more, as goes patriarchal, the standards. When you did ask for somebody, and I find it very interesting that you kept reiterating that through the episodes, that you have to find somebody that fits into your life. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're all living individual lives, and we need somebody who fits into it. And there was always an opposing force to your thoughts on the show, where you were told you need to adjust and compromise, and nobody is tailor-made for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that, women ultimately do have to settle for less, or do you think that the standards that you're holding up to, that will, maybe leave you without a partner for a very long time?
No, I'm fine. I believe that I will find the right teammate. And that's what it is. The person that fits into my life is the person whose life I fit into too. We are a team. And I'm always talking about that. I never ask for a husband. I always ask for a partner. And it's not because I don't want it to be a man, but it's because I want it to be my partner. That's what my search is about, ultimately. It's not a search for a husband. And so if I keep looking for my partner, he's going to have to fit into my dreams, and I'm going to have to fit into his, because we are on the same team. We want what's best for us as a unit when we become a unit. So I am very, very strong in that belief. I don't find any reason to waver from it. I believe it's partially luck when you meet that person. So many of my friends are very successful architects, lawyers, doctors, and they've been married since they were 22 or 23 to men that are amazing, that are their teammates, that are just as successful as them, just as ready to compromise as they are, and they're in equal partnerships. I know it's true. I know I want that for myself, and I'm constantly reminded by my peer group. So I don't think it's a weird, far-off land. I'm very lucky that in my world, it's a constant reinforcement that it's not only possible, but what I need to be looking for.
Now, your book mentions a bit about beauty standards that women are expected to subscribe to. Mm-hmm. But you also do mention alongside that you are somebody who does not subscribe to them out of your sheer will and choice. What is your mantra to beauty as you see it?
Well, I struggled a lot with beauty definitions. I'm considered to be the darkest person in my family, the shortest person in my family. It was called out to me my whole life. And in a way, I write about that in the book, about what it's like to have these tags put on you when you're 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. They start seeping into places in your mind that you don't even know exist until you examine them so many years later. And for me, it freed me in a way, because if I was going to be the shortest and the darkest one in my family, then I got to do whatever else I wanted, because no one had any expectations of me. And so I found liberation in it, and I became what I wanted to be, which was a traveler, a explorer, a fun. I had lots of friends. I was popular. I enjoyed school. I got to be exactly who I wanted to be, because no one expected anything of the shortest and the darkest one. So I say to the women who are being called all of these things, ignore them and use them as an opportunity to become more of who you are, outside of the glare of those terms and those tags that are so unnecessary and really just bind you into something that you don't need to be.
What a lovely thought. And I think that is the essence of what you call is be like Aparna, what the world was saying after the show. Why do you think women resonated with so much with you as a person, as a persona on the show?
Well, we have to remember that the show taped me when I was 34, and most of the reality and unscripted shows you see are taping 25-year-old women. And so what I think people resonated with was an evolved woman. I'm 10 years older than most of the women you see on television, and I've done 10 more years of growth and exploration on who I am, on what I believe I deserve, and my self-worth and my examination of that worth. And I shared that quite easily and readily with the camera. I think that's what resonated with women, that if they weren't already doing that themselves, they wanted to. And whether it was in matchmaking or in the workplace or in school or in their WhatsApp groups or with their significant other or their husband even, there's a big part of them that wanted to be like Aparna. And I think that was so powerful for me to see, because I only know me. I only know how to be me. And I've never been under a microscope. No one's ever looked at what that's like. Maybe my friends, but they always loved me and they always knew me. So I think that's different. And so for me, it was very overwhelming, but it was also an indication of where we are as a society, that women in spheres of their life, it might not be the same sphere as me, which was matchmaking, but they feel the same way. And they want that same, liberty to speak their mind and to say, this is what I want, this is what I deserve, and you can't tell me otherwise.
So, being a strong-headed woman or a strong-willed woman, it comes with a lot of baggage, of course. And for you, it must have, quadrupled, because you were in front of the whole world on our screens. Did being painted as such, as a stubborn, as an unrelenting, or a woman who is not ready to bend over backwards, did being painted as somebody like that change or sort of bring any modifications in the way that you view yourself? And did it ever lead to self-doubt?
No, honestly, no. Like I said, I'm in my mid-30s. I was very successful in my career. I went to elite universities here in America. I have amazing friends, a beautiful family that supports me. I was never going to let something external like this, especially which I don't identify with. I don't identify with the Aparna on that TV screen. So why should I let it affect my doubts and my belief systems and my values? That doesn't even make sense. That's like seeing some version that someone created of you and then starting to call into question your own existence. I lived 34 years as me. I'm good being me. And I'm proud of all of the things I've built in my life. But I also want a partner, a loving, kind partner. And I think that's what my person is saying, not my character, but me as an individual. I have all these beautiful things I built. Now I want to share it. Now I want to have someone involved in my life. Now I want to pick my next family member. And I say that on the show, that it's the only family member I'll ever pick. I'll never pick my children. I'll never pick my sister. I'll never pick my siblings or my mother or my father. These are choices I never had. The only family member I'll ever get to pick is my husband. And for me, that's such an important pick. And that is my ultimate partner.
Did being typified as a character on the show, whereas as it happens across reality TV, I think there's a slight flaw there that we're seeing all the time, where real people are being categorized as characters. Do you think that sort of impacts the kind of the perception that people have towards you, and they forget to look at you as a real person
when they meet me in person?
Just so, for instance, I'm sure a lot of people after the show must have messaged you saying that, they're so inspired by you, or they know you, they feel like they know you a lot. So, being out there in the open, does that impact the way that, the world sees you and, sort of makes themselves a part of your life?
Yeah, they do that a lot. And I find it confusing. I'm actually quite a private person by nature. When I signed up to do a few days of taping for a show that I thought nobody would watch, I don't think I understood its impact a year and a half later, potentially for the next 5 years, or I don't know how long. But like, I'll literally be sitting at a restaurant and I'll see someone out of the corner of their eye taking a picture of me as I'm about to take a bite. And I'm like, I'm just trying to take a bite of food. Like, I don't mind the fans that come and talk to me and say, excuse me, I loved you on the show. They're usually so kind. Yeah, that's an interruption to my meal, but I feel like there's a kindness behind it, and I'm always happy to meet them. I'm always so touched. It's like those moments where I don't know why that person is taking a picture of me. Like, I'll be sitting on the subway in New York and someone's just taking a photo of me. And I'm like, and I don't know what they mean by it. Do they mean something negative or positive? What is this about? Is it just that they spotted me on their street and they wanted to tell their family? I'll never know. And it makes me very uncomfortable. I think there's a lot about being in the public limelight that doesn't suit my inherent personality. So it's something I'm struggling with and getting used to. I know that sounds crazy. It's been over a year, but I'm still not used to it. I'm not sure I ever will be. I think it's interesting, especially when I was with my mom in Paris a few weeks ago, and we were at the Arc de Triomphe, and this big group of people stopped us. And my mom's like, oh, they were fans of me in the show, and they took a photo with me. And my mom's like, oh, I'll take the photo. And they're like, oh, no, Auntie, we're a big fan of you too. And they grabbed my mom. So there's this picture of me somewhere in the world with my mother and these 3 young men in front of the Arc de Triomphe. And I just thought it was this really surreal moment where I was just on holiday with my own mother, walking down this very touristy street, and then all of a sudden I became the tourist attraction. It was weird. It was definitely weird.
Well, I think if you feel that way about the fanfare in America, definitely you'll have one hell of an experience in India, because here, I mean, celebrities are near demigods. They're put up to a very, very high status and, mobbed on the streets and whatnot. But anyway, you are now a full-blown public figure, whether, you like it at times or don't like it at times. You are in the public eye, and a lot of people have seen your life up close, at least some part of it, the part that you chose to show.
Right.
With that in mind, when writing a book, how much do you decide what to include and what to keep out? How do you make that distinction, since you're already a public personality?
Mm-hmm. This book is really open about who I am as a person, not so much about the show, but more about me. And I think it's because I knew it was my opportunity to be very transparent. And I think what a lot of my DMs were initially and even today is how people are inspired by me. And I find that so touching. But a lot of the questions are, how did you become this way? And what this book does is it gives you 11 rules to living my life authentically, the rules that I follow every day. And they go through the lessons I learned to learn that rule. I mean, you don't just get this information from thin air. You get it from an experience. So for example, I have an autoimmune problem, and I've been, on and off chronically sick since I was 16 years old. What does that teach a woman about wellness, health, perseverance, grit, struggles, how important those parts of your life are? I went through a hurricane where one day I woke up and my whole house was flooded and I lost everything I owned. What is it like? What do you learn from situations where one day all of your material possessions are gone? Everything that that you touch, from your socks to your mattress, to your clothes, to your pictures, to your memorabilia, it's gone. It's gone because one day you woke up and a hurricane hit your house. I think there are lessons in that made me this strong. And I think we each have those kinds of lessons. You might not have a hurricane. Thank God. I hope you don't. You might not have a chronic health issue. I hope you don't. But I think that a lot of women can resonate with the stories of grit and perseverance and fortitude, picking yourself up when you don't think you can. I think all of those things prepared me so much for what would happen the day Indian matchmaking came out around the world. And I was more prepared than potentially 99% of the people I know around me because of my life lessons. And so that's what the book shares. And I hope that women take from that their own lives are giving them lessons that will help them be as strong and as, I don't know, boundary setting or determined or able to communicate their beliefs about what they deserve to others. I hope that this book gives them that courage and that they can place their own examples into where I have my own examples.
Aparna, is the book only meant for women, or what kind of lessons does it hold for, other members of society, men, for instance?
I don't know if a man's going to read this book. I don't know. I would be interested.
Let's try and convince them.
Yeah, I think we should. I think it's important. It's a very transparent story about one woman and her life journeys, her ups and her downs. It's a memoir at the end of the day. It's stories about my life. It's about my grandmother, my great-grandmother, the partition in some ways. In one chapter, I go into the lessons I've learned from the women before me. I'm Cindy, like we lost our homeland. What did that look like physically? What was it like, to lose everything? And I think it's an important story for men. I don't think they're going to read it. I don't know, though. I never thought men would watch Indian Matchmaking, and they sure surprised me. So we'll see. We'll see who picks up this book. But my audience in my mind, when I was sharing my lessons, was a woman. And it could be a 16-year-old woman or a 7-year-old woman, but I think it's a story that's going to resonate with women.
Aparna, since you mentioned the partition and your identity in relation to India, do you ever see India as a homeland? Is there ever, a feeling of nostalgia or a feeling of longing for a place that that you're bound to by identity?
Yeah, I love Bombay. I'm there every year. I have family there. Obviously, I've not been there since COVID, but otherwise I come every year. It's a long flight from America, and I used to work very long hours with very little holiday. Now that I no longer work as a lawyer, I hope to be in India a lot. I love it. I love Bombay. I don't know much about the rest of India, but I just feel so connected to that city, to the people, to the energy, to everything about that place is so electric. And I want to explore the country more. I've only been to Delhi once or twice. I've done Rajasthan, and I've been down to the south to Chennai a few times. But I feel like it's a city, it's a country that's waiting for my exploration. And I love that I touch so many viewers there. I want to say that the best fan support that I got was women in India. And I think I figured out why. It took me a few weeks, but I was like, why India? I thought they would not like my portrayal. But I think it's because so many of them were like, oh, we have a Seema auntie, or we've been told those things. And it's such a part of our culture. And it's sadly a part that everyone seems to be fighting against. And so they identified with me and Ankita so much. And I thought that was so powerful. I thought this is a place I have to go because the women there are amazing. They're on fire. They're alive. They are pushing boundaries to be more of themselves. And I would love to be a part of that movement. I would love to be in India more.
Was it just young women coming up to you? Because, in India, a lot of people still believe in, the traditional patriarchal value that they've been handed down through families about how a woman, a wife, a daughter is expected to be. What age group or, what kind of women were coming up to you with these words of appreciation?
A lot of young women, which I was very inspired by, women who are much younger than me, in their teens and their early 20s. I was so stunned. I was like, wow, you're 18 and you're already thinking when you see a woman like me on television that you want to, in some ways, be like her. I thought that was so powerful because that means that there's already something that they're fighting against at that young age. There's already something that they're feeling is, I don't know, holding them back or not giving them the space to spread their wings. There's already a moment or many moments that have made them feel that they need to push more to get more of a say in their own lives. And I think that was really indicative to me of where modern India is, that the women are very aware that they have that work to do to change their elders' point of view and to change the regressive society that we've lived in over there and through culture for probably hundreds of years. I think this is the generation, especially the one below me. I'm not in my 20s, obviously, and I think they're the ones that are going to make the biggest difference. So engaging in conversations with them was so amazing. It was my best. It was my best moments after the show.
You say the big difference. What, Aparna, is your take on feminism? How do you view it, and through what lens?
Yeah, I think it goes back to that research I was talking to you about, that sexism is these gendered roles that we put on young men and young women. And my take on it is, let's stop doing that. Let's stop doing that at a baby age. So my friends, I'm 36 now, so most of my friends have 2 or 3 kids, and I will give the little boys and the little girls the same presents. I refuse to give the girl something girly and the boy something boyish. I give them books about the Hindu culture. I give them, STEM toys. Both the boys and the girls get the same kind of, science, technology education. I focus on calling them all the good things about themselves, that you're courageous, you're smart, not you're handsome, not you're pretty, not, oh, you take care of your little brother so well. I try to be very aware of what I'm saying to children who are 2 or 3 years old. Imagine if we did that not only when they were 2 or 3, but 5, then 10, then 14. What kind of men would we be raising? What we need to raise is men that are championing their sisters, their cousins, and later their significant others and their wives. And I think somewhere along the way, we taught the women my age think they can be anything in America. Anyway, I can't speak to Indian culture in India, but in the diaspora, we've been taught that we can be whatever we want to be. We're top lawyers, top doctors. Like I said, my friends are architects. They're building skyscrapers in New York. And yet someone forgot to, excuse me, someone forgot to teach the men. And I'm like, but those are our brothers and our cousins. They should have been taught the same way. And sometimes they are, but I think we have a lot more work to do. And I think it starts with the way that we treat the next generation, and the way that we reinforce that your identity is not stemming from your gender and its assigned roles. You are bigger than that. You are an individual. And I think that'll bring a lot of power to future generations.
You say, Aparna, that you've left law. Where does the road take you next? What lies in wait for you?
I don't know. I'm living in New York, so I'm visiting my home in Texas now. My mom and my sister and my brother-in-law are here. But I basically live in New York at this time. I have just finished the book. It comes out now in 6 months. We're finishing the last copy edit. I'm supposed to do it tomorrow, so wish me. But the cover just got revealed. Now we have to start all the marketing steps, and all of that will come next. But I'm working on another project. I can't talk much about it. I'm working on 2 other projects that involve writing, but they're not books. They're in the entertainment field. I don't know what's going to come of them, but I'm excited. I love writing. I love writing books. I love writing anything. Turns out that it's something that I've always loved, but have never thought to grow into. So I'm giving myself this opportunity to try to grow into it. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying every moment. I really am. I'm trying to still grow my travel company. I own a luxury travel company. We just went to Kenya as a group tour. We are going to Morocco in October. It's hard to travel right now, so the group tours are every 2 months, and there's only one. I'm basically scouting countries to see how safe they are, to see the infrastructure around health and hygiene, to see if it's viable. I think for the next year, it's going to be very slow, and there's not going to be much growth in my travel company, but I still believe in it, and I want it to grow. And when it's safe, I want everyone to participate in it. So I am constantly working towards that. So as I finish up my copy edit of the book, I'm also planning the trip to Morocco. I am more than busy.
Sounds exciting. Aparna, we can't let you go without telling us the 3 books, or what's on your shelf, or any book that you're reading right now.
I just finished The Vanishing Twin, or The Vanishing Half. It is truly one of the best books I have ever read, ever, fiction. I was blown away. I finished it the other night. I closed it, and I was like, do I just start it all over again because it's that good? I will never be able to write as well as the Vanishing Half, but that made it even more joyous to read because I knew what a treasure it was. I recently just picked up an old favorite of mine. I haven't read it in maybe 5-6 years, Cutting for Stone by Abraham Verghese. It's also a powerful fiction novel set in Ethiopia. And I am still chugging through Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. It's nonfiction. It's very uplifting. It's very solutions oriented. I'm very solutions oriented. When things go really wrong in my life, when I think I've hit rock bottom, I immediately turn to solutions. So the book, Everything is Figure Outable, is really relatable to me, and it kind of puts into words the things I do naturally already. And it's really helping me focus on, what I can do better when things go wrong. Things will always go wrong, but how do we deal with it? How do we react to it? And what are our belief systems that are attached to things going wrong?
Well, Aparna, thank you so much for joining me. This was a joy, an absolute joy. And I wish you all the very best with your book. And I hope it inspires women to become more unlikable, if that's what it takes for us to be an equal society. Thank you so much.